When I was a pastor in New Jersey, I led a mission trip every summer that was big. It was like over 100 people, so like 70 some teenagers, and we'd go on this trip. And every year we would ask the upperclassmen, so like the juniors and seniors, we'd ask them to tell any freshman or any first time kid coming on the mission trip, kind of what to expect and what some of their favorite memories were. Right? Pretty typical. But every year, I was just so surprised. It happened every year, but every year it surprised me in the same way that the upperclassmen would tell a first year student or a freshman, the best thing about the mission trip? It's a whole week without your cell phone. Now, these are teenagers, right? These are teenagers who live attached to their cell phones. This was pre-TikTok, I think. So still, Snapchat, Instagram, all of it. I mean, they're on their phones all the time. And they told these kids who are going to be coming on a mission trip for a whole week, because we would not let them bring their phones, and if we caught them with their phone, we would take it away. They said the best thing about the mission trip is it's a week without your phone. Now, why do you think that is? We could get rid of our phones whenever we want, right? Turn them off, put them in a drawer, turn them into your parents, right? We could get rid of our phones whenever we want, but we don't, right? We know it's good for us, and we don't do it. We know that living unplugged is better for us. We know we're happier when we're not responding to emails constantly. We know we're happier when we're on an airplane for 2 hours and so you can't respond to somebody's text message. We know we live better when we live unplugged, but we don't live that way day to day, do we? So one of the great things that's just kind of built into retreats, often because of where they happen, is there's terrible cell phone reception. And so either by intention, like me taking students on a trip and not letting them bring their cell phones, or by location, somewhere without good cell phone reception, when you go on a retreat, you're unplugging. You are getting to live life unplugged. And I think that's our first spiritual practice. I think that's one of the ways that God shows up for us first, is we stop paying attention to some things, these things that they can get at us all the time through our technology, and we observe and notice and start to appreciate other things. The first spiritual practice I want to invite you guys into is living unplugged. Now, I know that might not be practical for everybody, and certainly 72 hours or even 24 hours might not be an option for your family to live unplugged. But here's my challenge. Can you go 3 hours? Can you, or you and your friend, or you and your spouse, or you and your family, can you go 3 hours unplugged? I bet you can. Now, here's the real challenge, is to not just suffer through it, right? You're not setting the clock at 3 hours just to watch the time drip down until you can get your cell phones back. No, go do something. That's one of the reasons why we can live so unplugged is on retreats, is we're going and doing different things. We're trying different things. The reason why I chose 3 hours is because on a retreat, that's about the time from a chapel service to the end of small group, about 3 hours. So that's a block of time where we're all unplugged, but we're plugging in to the gospel and we're plugging into community. Now, you don't have to plan your own chapel service and small group with your family, but do you want to turn your whole house into a fort? Do you want to go on a hike? Do you want to go on a drive somewhere? Do you want to play a board game you guys never have time to play? I think the way that we live unplugged the best is when we plug into things that bring us joy and help us have fun. And so that's the first challenge this week. Our memory verse is from Proverbs 4:25. And it says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you." This proverb speaks so intentionally to this retreat practice of getting unplugged. Too often we are plugged into things that drain us, maybe things that aren't even good for us. And we have the opportunity on a retreat to plug intentionally into things that are good for us. Things like time with God, things like time with our family, things like time in nature. When we unplug, we can actually see what's right in front of us. And sometimes what's right in front of us is the best part of all. It's the stuff that gives us the most joy. and brings us the most happiness. So my invitation to you is to spend 3 hours unplugged this week. 3 hours at one time in one block, unplugged. And plug into something that will be fun, that will bring you joy. And let your eyes look straight ahead. Keep your gaze fixed directly in front of you. And maybe what you start to notice is the stuff that you love the most, that you appreciate the most, that maybe you need to spend a little more time plugged into. Hope you join me this week for this practice. And again, I want to hear how it's going. So message me on Instagram, or you can always email me at amanda@parkridgepresby.org. See you next time.